Welcome in to the Michigan Basketball Postgame Live Show. Dennis Fithian with you, ready to talk about game number 4 on the year for Michigan. The Miami Redhawks in town, and they are out of the Mid-American Conference. And U of M, they start the game turning it over, and that has been something that has been troubling for this team to start the season. So much so, and so much of a focus and all of the questions, that Dusty May subs out the starting 5, not even 3 minutes into the game. They had 4 turnovers and 7 possessions, and the Redhawks came down, had a fast break layup, and then Vlad Golden inbounding the ball kind of just threw it. I don't know. You'd say he didn't have his eyes closed, but it almost looked like that. He just threw the ball in, and it was a turnover. So May saw enough, and he subbed out everyone. And if you wanted to fret about something, that was it. And the turnovers at the break, U of M was up 8. But they had a dozen turnovers, and they had, remember, 16 against TCU at the break, in their last game on Friday. But they got to the second half, that was quickly forgotten. Michigan ended up taking care of the ball. They had just 6 turnovers, like they did Friday against TCU, just 6 in the second half. Tonight, and then U of M started the second half on a big run. They got up double figures within the first 2 minutes, and then they went on to a 94-67 victory, which everybody got involved. A 27-point victory for U of M, and that was the tail of the tape when it came down to it. Now, Michigan shot incredible, 58% from the floor, 48% from downtown. You love that. But those 18 turnovers, 6 in the second half. So they want to play really fast and want to play with a lot of pace. They want to get a lot of shots up, possessions. And Dusty May talked about that so much, and that's fine. But when you have the guys and they don't want the ball to stick, so you have the ball, you get over the timeline, whoever you are, and immediately you're either thinking about going to the hole or passing or cutting. And it's just, when you say the game's a little bit too fast for everyone, for this pace, it's a little too fast. Now, I watched the halftime, and John Beilein, the former Michigan coach, was one of the studio analysts, and John Beilein said they'll figure it out. Well, bunch of all new players put together, trying this system of fast tempo, and John Beilein thought that they would figure it out. Now, look, am I going to sit here and tell you that they need to slow it down, or it's something that jumps out. It's something that you'll watch. It's really, if you're watching the games, it's disturbing. It's not, I don't know if disturbing. It's frustrating, disturbing, frustrating, sickening. If they were losing, I think it would be a lot more of those things. Troubling. It's not fun to watch a team just cough it up in the manner that Michigan has done in the first half of these games. But, so they've played 4 games. Let's give them till a couple more games. It could be something, they get into the Big Ten, and everything, once you get into conference play, everything's going to tighten up a little bit. Everything's going to be a little bit more difficult. And so if they don't, clean it up by then, well, then maybe Dusty will have to look at slowing the game down. I think, he's playing 10 guys, trimming up his rotation a little bit. Those are the things right now. A lot to like, though, on the good side. I mean, the turnovers jump out to everyone. You have to talk about that. But on the good side, Michigan, they share the ball, and they've got a lot of shooters. It's like everyone that's out there, you can tell whoever's calling the game, the media, they're obsessed with Danny Wolf and Vlad Golden both being 7 feet, and Golden's listed at 7'1", 2 7-footers, and they put Sam Walters in. I said, this is the tallest front line in the nation, and the tallest front line that Michigan has ever had, and that may be true, and I don't doubt that it is true, but Vlad Golden plays in the post. Danny Wolf doesn't even want to play in the key. I mean, he wants to be out 3-point line, and Walters wants to be farther out than that. So it's not. It would be kind of. It's a nice footnote when they get the Michigan basketball notes and they see they 7-footers up there, front line, tallest in the country, tallest in Michigan history. So they all say it, but it doesn't matter because none of them play except Golden down in the post. So it's just one of those things. I think that it doesn't make me mad, but it's one of those things that we're going to hear all year long because it's in those Michigan basketball notes. So that's what I saw. Always, we're here after every Michigan basketball game. So if you ever want to comment in, I'd like to hear what you think as you watch the game. Derek says he loves how Pippen is doing the gritty work out there. Every team needs a player that gets his nose in there and makes the offensive player uncomfortable. Yeah, I saw Pippen tonight. What did he have? He took 2 charges, and then he had a blocked shot where he came down and was contested and got it from behind. So I agree with you there. I like that. He's just going to get better. The freshmen, I say this all the time about any freshman, but Pippen's been banged up. So I don't know if we're seeing everything from him. And Kason bounced back with a nice game after having a goose egg. One of the other freshmen from Michigan. Let's just look through some of the lineup here, Derek. It was a good reminder to go and look at the numbers for Michigan and see what else jumps out. Namari Burnett's play has jumped out. I have to admit that the players from last year, because last year's season was, as we know, really bad, and a lot of the players there, if you, I think people did ask me, and I did talk about it. If Namari Burnett wanted to move on in the offseason, I wouldn't have been like, oh, bye, Felicia. But I wouldn't have been like, oh, that's going to be a huge loss for, this team. I would have been like, fine. But Burnett has put his best foot forward, and he looks pretty good. Looks pretty good from downtown. Looks pretty good driving the lane and throwing it down. He had 18 points and 3 boards and 4 assists. How about 7 of 10 from the floor, including 4 of 9 from downtown? Also had a steal and a block for Namari Burnett, who I would put down as my player of the game. Trey Donaldson had a nice game. He was had a goose egg the other night in the first half and then scored all of his points in the second half. A more balanced attack from Trey tonight, 16 points, 2 rebounds, 4 assists. He was 6 of 9 from the floor and 3 of 4 from downtown. You love the 3-point shooting. Say, how do you get to shoot 48% from downtown? Well, look at Burnett and Donaldson just together, 13 of 19 from the long line. From the floor, and 7 of 11 from the long line for those two. And you like to see that. Roddy Gale, he would be the one in the early going. And before the season, he was the pick that he was going to be the alpha of this offense. He was going to be the leading. I didn't, if you had to predict the leading scorer, a lot of people were saying it'd be Gale Jr. I say that. I was down at the media day, and Cheddar, I said, who's the guy? Who's going to be surprised, the player, when you watch him? And he said, yeah, this guy. And he was nodding towards Gale, who was sitting at the same table as Cheddar. But 10 points, 3 boards, 5 assists for Gale. I feel like Danny Wolf is going to be, you you try to say what are going to be some of the keys if this team's going to make the tournament, if they're going to be a good team. I think Wolf, he is going to play a lot of minutes. He has the ball a lot in his hands, and they're looking to him a lot. Now, he had 9 points and 9 boards and 2 assists, but 5 turnovers. He's an excellent passer, but some of these passes have been a little bit too hot, a little bit too high, a little bit too low. He tightens it up. Feel like maybe everyone around him will do that, but I think Danny Wolf, the key for Michigan. Vlad Golden, we haven't seen Golden at his best. 8 points, 6 boards, and 2 assists. The thing that, if you've watched these 4 games for Michigan, you say you want Golden to be more rugged. You want more grit. You want more toughness. You want him to jam the ball instead of just, trying to flip it in there when he's down low. Is he a little bit of a finesse center? Yeah, he can punch it down. He can, get up and catch alley-oops, but I think that's what you're going to want. You get into, again, I'm not going to say it every time, although I have thus far. You get into Big Ten play, it's going to be a little bit different. They're going to push him out. Those are going to be tougher to come by. It's nice that he's a good free throw shooter, and that helps, to be out on the floor, to be able to knock those down. But he's got to, whatever you want to say, buck up, just toughen up. Just go for the jam instead of laying it up there. That'd be my thoughts on Golden. So those are the starters. Kason came back from getting a goose egg the other night, Friday night against TCU, and he had 11 points, 3 boards, and 2 assists, 3 of 5 from the floor. That's good. Cheddar with 9 and 2. It's about what Cheddar is going to have some games where he's 15, 20 points, going to get the crowd going crazy, and then he's going to have a couple of games where he's got like 2, 3 points. Tonight, in the middle of that, 9 points and 2 boards for Cheddar. Reuben Jones had 6 points. Sam Walters, he's got the pretty jumper from the left side. Seems like anytime he is open, you want him firing. 5 points, 4 boards for Walters. Fat had a bucket, and that's it. At the end, you had the walk-ons on, and there you go for Michigan, who in this game, they now move, after getting the victory, to 3-1 on the season. And so a little bit of a hectic start with the benching of the starters. And then at the half, the troubling trend of the turnovers. And you say, this is going to be about coaching. It's going to be a reflection of the coaching. And Dusty May's just getting going. Nobody wants to, knock Dusty May. And I'm not. What I'm saying is, this is, some of your thoughts as you're watching this, because it jumps right out at you. You're like, you kidding me? They're turning the ball over again. People are counting 1, 2, 3, 4. It's just ridiculous. But they get read I don't know if it's a riot act or the paint peeling off. Whatever they're saying to him at the half is what they need to say to him at the beginning. I know what it's along the lines of value the ball. Make sure you know where you're passing. Just be strong with it and not careless. You can say this a million times. You just got to go through it. And I'm gonna take the John Beeline approach and say, let's be patient and that they will figure it out. Andre saying that this team has no problem scoring. I'm with you on that, and that's a good thing. I would also say they do a good job defensively. They contest well, and I don't know, Miami's not that imposing of an opponent, but that's that. Michigan will play again on Thursday. It's the upcoming schedule. Tarleton State on Thursday. That's going to be an 8:30 start, and then it will be a week from today, they will go down to Fort Myers. That doesn't sound too bad because I heard it was going to be snowing coming up around here later on this week in Michigan. So you start thinking about, hey, Fort Myers might be pretty nice this time of year. And Michigan will take on Virginia Tech, another 6 o'clock start. I like the 6 o'clock start, especially during the football season. So, you can still get out there like on a Monday night, like tonight, and still watch some football and some things like that. So that's going to do it. Michigan did some other news last week. They have 3 signees. Trey McKinney, they announced him last week. Today, Oscar Goodman, his paperwork comes through, and he was the kid out of, it's not Australia, is it New Zealand? I think New Zealand. And I was going to say somewhere down under there, but my apologies to anybody from New Zealand or Australia to kind of lump it all into one spot. They're still waiting on Winters Grady, the forward from Napa, Cali. I don't know, paperwork thing, whatever. I have no reason to say that they are not going to get these 3. So that's what we'll just wait and see when that comes through. Derek just coming in and he's saying clean up the turnovers. Well, they have cleaned them up at the half. The next move, let's see them cleaning up for an entire game. You say, what's a good number for a game? You'd love to be in single digits. That's not always the reality. So I would say for this team, a nice target would be, they had 18, 12 at the break, 6 in the second half, 18. That's the most heading into the game. They kept saying it. I mean, it's just been 3 games, most of the Big Ten, but I mean, these 18 teams, it's a little bit of at least noteworthy. I would say 12 for this team could be, certainly a goal, single digits, but 12 for this team, acceptable. Of course, if they're winning, you accept 12 in a loss. Not going to feel so good. 15 in a win, okay, and you still have something to improve on. So that's it. Derek following it up with another question, says, what's going on with our big 7-footers? They don't play hard to the rim like Dickinson used to for us. Well, neither of the guys, Golden or Wolf, is anything like Hunter Dickinson. Danny Wolf, he's 7 feet tall. I guess I don't have any reason to say he's not a 7 foot, but he plays like he's 6'7". He's outside. He's a good passer, and he's looking to throw it up from 3 points, from 3-point land. He can put it on the floor. We've seen a little bit of that. I'm not sure that's the best part of his game. To me, he's an instant offense. He can move the ball, and he's a good passer, but I haven't seen Danny Wolf. Have I seen Danny Wolf down low with his back to the basket? I don't remember it off the top of my head. Now, Golden, he's 7'1", but he's not going through a series of back to the basket moves. Although they've tried to get him the ball down there. He's can catch some lobs, some pick and roll. You can see the athleticism he has there, but he's more of a face the basket, pick and roll. Let me get an alley-oop and throw it down. So not really anything like the big lefty that they used to have here, who now is doing his business in he's playing in, I don't know about doing his business. He's in Kansas. Derek said he'll be interested to see if the turnovers go down as the team gels together. I think that's going to be the idea. You don't want to. I'll state a couple of obvious things. If they're turning it over 18 times a game and this continues into the conference season, this team is not going to make the tournament, and they're not going to win that many games. They're going to, they might get 15 or 16, but you can't cough it up that many times, even if they're shooting it as well as they are, and expect to make the tournament. But because they're all new faces, new coaching staff, of damn near almost everyone is new, and the style of play that we'll see, and we'll expect that it's going to start going down rapidly now, like Thursday against Tarleton State and then against Virginia Tech. There's always going to be something. First, too many offensive rebounds, then the turnovers, and then those are the two things today. I guess I should take a look at those offensive rebounds because, if they have tightened it up, it would be noteworthy for this team and something to point out to you with this, how they did on the glass. Let's see. Rebounds. Michigan out rebounded the Redhawks, the Miami of Ohio Redhawks, 44-23. So they damn near doubled them up on the glass. That's nice. Let's look at those offensive rebounds. 8 for the Hawks, and you're going to be all right there. Michigan had 13 offensive rebounds, so they did it. We got double Derek's going on. Derek was a little bit nervous at the beginning. Hey, it was a semi-tight game for the majority of the first half. Michigan was coughing it up, and Miami was tuning it up from downtown. And you're thinking, uh-oh. Well, and you got a little PTSD from last year. So many tight games. Didn't matter if it was Mac. Didn't matter whoever it was. You had to tense up and get ready because you didn't know. And, so I understand where you're at, Derek, with all of that. Okay, that's going to do it. Again, Michigan will play again this Thursday against Tarleton State. It's an 8:30 start. We're on after every Michigan basketball game. That's the thing you need to remember. There's a Michigan basketball game. We'll be on afterwards. And then if you miss the game, then you also know that this will be on wherever you get your podcast. This is on YouTube. And for those that like to engage during the game, this is a nice time it's always a good time, but with the holidays rapidly approaching, it's a great time to give yourself the gift of the Maize and Blue Review. But join up and get full access right now by going to michigan.rivals.com, and they have game threads. There's going to be a dozen, bigger games, definitely more than that. I say a dozen. Oh, who knows? There could be 50 people in there, but for the bigger games, and people you're kind of watching it. You're in a room and you're watching the game with everybody. A nice basketball thread. One of the many features that you get by joining up with all of us over on the Maize and Blue Review. And you like things like recruiting and the pursuit of Bryce Underwood and other 5 stars and the portal and transfer. It's all there for you, and basketball as well. So I could sit here all night talking about it. Michigan gets the victory, 3-1 on the year, and they get the 27-point victory. Thank you for joining us. Talk with you Wednesday on Good Afternoon Michigan Football and Basketball, and then certainly Thursday after the Michigan-Tarleton State game. Until then, Michigan wins it 94-67. That's the final. They're 3-1 on the year. Have a great night, everybody. So long.